There's going to be 5 pitches today, I believe, and 5 pitches tomorrow. There will be 1 winning team from today, 1 winning team for tomorrow. Those 2 teams will go against each other. Got it? Judges. And if you guys, I don't know where the judges are located, so if you can raise your hand when I start introducing you. Rachel Pike. Rachel, yay, Rachel is one of our judges. Let me read your amazing background. First of all, thanks for being here. I'm going to read your background, and oh, I'll give you a book too because you're here, right? Okay, because she's adding value to our day. Rachel is with Draper Fisher Jurvetson, did I say that? Jurvetson, close. She started with them in 2010. She invests in enterprise biology and consumer internet companies. She has a PhD. Do you put that after your title? Do you put PhD on your email signature?
I don't like to, but a lot of people have coached me to do it.
I think you should. That's impressive to me. In astrophysics chemistry and computer modeling. Very impressive. I'd put that on there too. She also served as president of the Gates Scholars. She worked in a field campaign in Malaysia. She's done TEDx speeches on climate technology and innovation. She has a BA in chemistry, a minor in African studies. Wow, wow, this is good. And she is also the co-founder of a dance company. She's like a superstar. And she worked and lived in Tanzania. Well, I feel sorry for the other judges who are coming next. So welcome to Rachel. Woo. Josh, if you're brave, come on out. Josh Elman, and for some reason I feel like we've met before, Josh, have we? Did I give you my book before? No, there you go. All right, Josh, here we go. These are all impressive bios. This is incredible. He's a partner at Greylock. I'm sure you guys have heard of them. In fact, my daughter sleeps in a Greylock t-shirt. You guys gave me a Greylock U t-shirt. She sleeps in it all the time. He joined the team in 2011. He invests in entrepreneurs that are building new consumer products. His area of focus is social networks. You're probably busy. And platforms, mobile apps, new media, marketplaces. He is specializing in designing, building, and scaling products. He's been with multiple companies. Oh, were you at Twitter? You were at Twitter. Maybe that's where I met you, at Twitter. He was at Twitter, and he also helped work with Facebook and launched Facebook Connect. This is an impressive bio, Twitter, Facebook. And he was an early employee at LinkedIn. You've been at all of the social networks. You must have so many connections that you had to give that up and just go behind the scene, right? Right? You were at your limit, 5,000 connections on Facebook probably. He has a BS in symbolic systems with a focus on human-computer interaction from Stanford University. Welcome, Josh. Amazing. Jessica Livingston, if you could come join us at the stage. No, you're not boring. In fact, I was reading a lot of articles on you last night, not boring at all. And there was a Forbes article that Women 2.0 just wrote, and that you guys have funded 655 companies. Am I close?
Very close, 644.
644 companies, including Airbnb, Reddit, the Muse, yeah. Give me a couple more. Dropbox. These are not small companies. You're picking well, right? It's starting them off. So just think, some of the people pitching today, your name might be in a list like this in a couple of years. Things can happen fast. You're a mom too. I saw that. Yeah, I read that. What else did I see? Let's see. You're a partner at Y Combinator. You also wrote a book. You're an author. Did you make any money off your book, or do you just give them away free? Yeah. Oh, I'll have to talk to you because I'm still giving them away for free. She is very busy, and she's one of our amazing judges, so thank you for being here. And we have one more judge, Nicole. Come on out, Nicole Glaros. Did I say that right, Glaros? Is that correct? You actually have a resume that starts younger than anyone else. It looks like you got your entrepreneurial start in 4th grade. Was that cookies that you were selling, or was something else in 4th grade?
No, I was exploiting my siblings and cousins to act as plays, and I would collect money from people and not pay them.
Great, great.
I learned about workforce exploitation at a very nice.
Right, right. Well, that is exciting. And you were charging the neighbors admission, and you still have the trust of your siblings?
Barely.
Barely, barely. All right. You founded 3 startups. The first one had a healthy exit, and then 2 of them failed miserably. You want to tell us about the ones that failed?
The first one that was, should I use this? The first one that was successful was with my dad. The second 2 weren't. So I learned that I wasn't magical, he was. And I also learned the value of mentorship, which sort of led to where I am today.
Great, great. Well, thank you for being here. You have been named one of the coolest people in New York tech by Business Insider, and Marie Claire named you the new guard. So without further ado, we're going to move into the pitch session. So the first...
One game, sorry. We have another judge.
Well, you do? That's
It's unexpected, I know.
unexpected. She's not on my list, or he.
They just dropped from heaven.
Great. Well, bring him. Here we go, the mystery judge.
I don't have a bio, but you can just read Blake Byers from Google.
Blake Byers from Google Ventures. Come on down, Blake. I don't have much to say, but I'm excited that you're here. I do know that Google Ventures just put $380 million into Uber, something like that?
Close.
What's the number?
It's around there.
Around there. Will you disclose the real number, or is it a secret?
It was our largest investment.
The largest investment. So you're not going to tell us the number? No? All right. All right. Okay, so we're going to move on. Our first pitch today, and it's going to be 5 minutes, so they have to be faster than I am. It's Janelle, Marco is the CEO, and it's Farmstr. It's an online marketplace where sustainable farmers, fishers, and ranchers can sell directly to local consumers.
There's another judge.
Oh my God. All right.
They really fall from above. Please welcome to the stage.
Please welcome to the stage. Yuri's joining us too.
What you don't know is when the deals are hot, more VPs always come in.
Okay.
And we just slide right in.
All right, you both get books. Yuri, I know about you because you were here this morning, so your intro is going to be short, but we're excited to have all of you. So 5 minutes, but you guys are all judges too because you're going to be voting. So recapping, Farmstr is an online marketplace where sustainable farmers, fishers, and ranchers can sell directly to local consumers, and you are located in Seattle, Washington. Come on down, 5 minutes.
I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but if chain one.
Hi. They say that smells actually create some of our strongest memories. Well, I grew up in an agricultural community, and I drove through farmlands every day on the way to school. So I'm here to admit that I actually am nostalgic for the smell of cow manure. I come from Dutch dairy farming roots, and I have a lot of affection for small farmers, and there's no doubt that's the reason I'm in front of you here today. My name is Janelle Mayako. I'm the CEO of Farmstr, an online marketplace where small farmers, fishers, and ranchers can sell direct to consumers like you and I. There's a reason this is a $105 billion market opportunity, because 3 out of 4 consumers prefer to buy local organic food at affordable prices, but lack direct access to the volumes of local producers. And there's 1 million small farmers who make just $50K a year because they use existing sales channels that push down their margins to just 12 to 15 cents on the dollar. They make too little, and you pay too much. Farmstr solves this by creating a direct sales channel where farmers can make not just $50,000, but $100,000 or $150,000, and where you can pay less for local, organic, and sustainable food. Because if you want good steak, where do you go? I went to a reputable grocer, and I found one option for local grass-fed steak. It was $25 a pound. So instead, I went and shopped on Farmstr, where I could choose from a number of ranchers, and I paid just $7 a pound for my grass-fed beef. And yes, that rancher makes more money when I buy from them direct. You would like to know that most of our competitors are actually just repurposing existing sales channels online, whether it's an online grocery store or an aggregated specialty grocery box. They're leaving in all those costly layers, making the price high for you and the margin low for the farmer. At the farmer market, farmers pay all-day labor costs, farmer market fees, and there are no guarantee of sales. And then there's Farmstr, a direct sales channel where the farmer makes more money and you pay less. There are no member fees, there are no subscription fees. It's a transaction-based platform, and it's deliberately flexible to the seller. So a farmer can create the unit size, set the price, choose the delivery date, and choose from any number of Farmstr drop sites. And you, the buyer, can now buy what you want, when you want, from who you want. I came to Women 2.0 1 year ago today with an idea and a lot of questions about Farmstr. And I'm proud to say that we've come a long ways. In September, we opened our online doors in Seattle. We have over 35,000 in sales, over 350 customers. We have 50 farmers, with 35 more coming on in March, and 9 drop sites with 3 more coming on next week. And the press is rolling. We had a nice mention in Seattle Child Magazine. In January, we have local bloggers posting on us every week. And in March, we have feature articles coming out in Seattle Magazine and Edible Seattle. All thanks to a team that knows this domain down to the cow pie. My April is my Pacific Northwest field manager. She's worked with farmers for 5 years. My co-founder, Chad Gray, and chief product officer manages engineering teams, business intelligence, marketing analytics, and mobile. And together with Tom, our senior full-stack engineer, they have designed, developed, maintained, and shipped product lines that have generated millions in revenue with a 95% return subscription rate. I've been in the food industry for 20 years. I'm a trained chef. I'm part of national chef organizations. For 12 years, I've worked as a marketing consultant to major food brands, co-ops, and commissions. And for the last 8 years, I've written what is now a nationally recognized food blog, which means my friends are the top-tier food bloggers across the country in every major city across key target market trajectories. In fact, Farmstr has more than 100 bloggers already lined up to promote Farmstr with an estimated monthly reach of 8 million readers. We are poised and ready to build out our platform to scale, to aggressively go into the Seattle market, then to other cities and across the country, to meet existing demand and marketing and press opportunities, and to change the face of the food system as we know it. And you heard it here first at Women 2.0. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So stay right on up here because now we do some questions with the judges.
Oh, do I need that? Oh, no, I got it.
You're all mic'd up.
I'll start.
Yeah.
I love this. I think it's awesome. I think everybody probably on the planet agrees that this should exist. The challenge that I see, and one of the reasons why something hasn't really taken off here, is there are 2 challenges, right? One is logistics. So how does the food actually, you sort of touched on it, you talked about drop sites. I want to understand a little bit more about that. And then the second thing is I see this being really strong in a local community. I have a really hard time seeing how it scales outside of that local community. You have to go develop relationships with all those farmers. You have to build a local market. I mean, it is a true marketplace. So can you talk a little bit about your plan on global domination?
Happy to. Okay. Yes. Remind me of the scaling question after I answer the delivery one. Okay. So what we're doing right now today is we are just taking advantage of familiar behaviors of the farmers and using existing infrastructure. So today what we're doing, farmers will drive in, whether they're driving into the warehouse to have their food be aggregated, whether they're going to Whole Foods, grocers, or a farmer market, or drive into drop sites for Farmstr. The behavior is always that they're driving it in and dropping it somewhere. So we're taking that and giving them the option to just put it at one of our drop sites, which they love because they don't have to stand there all day and pay labor costs, et cetera. So that's our first iteration. And we have drop sites all over the city. We're already sort of seeing that network effect of, we got the first few, and then people started asking to be drop sites. So we're sort of positioning ourselves all over in and around the cities in different neighborhoods. And then the next iteration, once we start to build out our platform, is to build in route and logistics optimization. So we're really just from an automation standpoint. Also self-provisioning and management of the drop sites, reservation of the drops happening. And then beyond that, because we want to continue to capture consumers and reduce friction, we want to partner with one of the many companies, it was even mentioned this morning, one of the many companies who are solving Uber for local food. There's a lot of companies that do the restaurant to your front doorstep delivery that we can partner with in every major city, TaskRabbit, et cetera. So there's a lot of different ways to partner with somebody who that's their expertise, that's their business, and to provide our customers the option to buy that because as I mentioned before, we want to capture the 3 out of 4 consumers who want this food at affordable prices. And the way to do that is to give them options if they want to pay for that last mile, but if they don't, then they can keep the price more affordable and have access to that food. So.
Okay, we'll do one more question.
Oh, sorry.
We have to keep on a time clock. One more would be great.
Janelle, congratulations on all the progress. The question I had was more around the farmers that you're working with.
Yeah.
How capable are they to fulfill demand on a one-off basis? Because right now they're actually working with distributors where they can get all their meat and pack it all up, and it's not like an individual effort. Are they actually capable with their current resources to supply in the way that you'd need them to supply?
Yeah, it's actually been fantastic. That's a good question. So yeah, the farmers literally can put, there's such flexibility in the marketplace. I didn't actually get to mention that when I was giving that pitch. But if you go to our website, we're really reaching deeper into the farmers that have just a bigger stroke. Like you might see urban farm eggs on the site. You might see an 1/8 share of grass-fed beef, or a couple of 10-pound bags of Honeycrisp heirloom apples, for much less than you pay at the store. Sustainable salmon, maybe 5 pounds, right? So there's this whole, it's what they have sometimes left over. Like we had a farmer who literally, the grocery store, he was supposed to sell an acre of Brussels sprouts and they went with somebody else because his weren't ready on time. So then where does he go to sell that? So he was overjoyed to come to Farmstr and be able to put that up and fulfill that, and they're gaining customers. It's pretty fantastic. So I don't know if that quite answered it.
Oh, thank you so much.
We can talk about scaling later. Thank you.
Great job. As a marketing and branding person, I just have to say I love your logo and the little F in the little house is adorable. It's great. Okay, we have, if you liked that presentation, there is the People's Choice Award, so remember to vote if you are inclined to do so. We have another pitch coming up, and our pitch number 2, Workzeit. It brings culture intelligence to recruiting. It's hard business these days, especially in San Francisco, recruiting. Driven by deep science and designed for the workplace, the Workzeit platform makes creating and growing happy, successful companies easy. And I'm sorry I don't have the name of our presenter, but come on up. We're excited to hear your Kelsey. Kelsey, come on up.
Bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but if chain one.
Kelsey Conaffey, co-founder and CEO of Workzeit. So as you just heard, we are an HR technology platform that creates happy, successful companies using culture intelligence. I need this too. So what do we actually do? We first crowdsource the company's cultural fingerprint from current employees, link these insights to existing recruiting or talent management workflows, and then create happiness. So why are we so obsessed with happiness? Well, the fact is that people aren't happy at work. 2 million Americans leave their jobs voluntarily every single month. And these are statistics from 2013 when the unemployment rate was 7.8%. The reasons being the boss, company politics, no recognition, no empowerment, really culture problems. So when you break this down into numbers, consider things like turnover, absenteeism, lost productivity. It costs you $21,000 per unhappy employee per year. That's a huge problem. So where are we starting? We're focusing on SMBs, companies in the business professional services with large sales and customer services teams. This is a market right now that's 212,000 companies, and our average ticket price per year is $7,000, and this is just the start. So some real stories of how companies are using Workzeit. Felix is an ad tech company based in New York City. There are currently 85 employees and doubling in size. And they're using Workzeit to help them manage and maintain their culture and the strength of their culture as they're scaling up. IDEO is also using us to create a new team. So they set out at the very beginning to create their ideal cultural profile, and they're managing their process, their growth to make sure that they're actually meeting that ideal. So let's take a look at the actual platform, which is centered around the cultural fingerprint. This is a 5-minute process that every individual goes through, that we help walk them through to understand the concepts that are really important about culture. We look at behavioral elements. How do they work within the workplace? How do they think about leadership, decision making? What types of motivational drivers are they driven by? Are they more driven by independence or maybe connecting with others? All of these concepts based on the latest research in neuroscience, as well as latest methodologies in organizational psychology, we're at the forefront of really applying these latest findings to an applicable use in the workplace. So not only do we make it relevant for the individual, but we also show companies what they look like at an organizational level. So we can show you the difference between management, sales, dev, and everything in between. For recruiters, we also help map how candidates match up to a company, which is extremely valuable, especially if you're not quite sure exactly what one team across the country is like when you're still in charge of hiring and finding the right fit for them. So people love it. 90% of all employees and 84% of all candidates have converted to actually create their profiles, and people love it. Our team is a small team of 2. I studied design at Parsons in New York City. My co-founder studied cog-sci and computer science at UPenn. And I worked at a branding and innovation agency that worked on similar culturally focused projects with companies like Amex and Philips. We have a team of advisors that are awesome. We're not building this in a bubble. They've been in the HR space and they know what they're doing. Some milestones we've reached are we've reached our alpha with 6 different companies in April 2013. We released our private beta, which we're currently still in. We relocated from New York to San Francisco in November 2013 for the Alchemist Accelerator program. And we brought on board our first paying customer in December 2013. We're currently at helping 10 companies reach happiness and growing. So let's create happiness, everybody. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, how does the management team use whatever profile you've developed to influence the decisions that they're making?
Yeah, so I'll give you a few examples of how companies have actually used it. So one, I won't name the exact company, but they brought it into their boardroom with all of their senior executives, and they basically discussed the discrepancies between the ideal company profile and the current company profile. And they discussed, one thing that they found was that accountability was being asked for by the sales team, but wasn't really being given by the management team, which was a team of 10 developers. And so there was a mismatch in the way that the sales team was being motivated and run. And so they sat down to discuss how they can alleviate that problem. And they actually ended up deciding to promote 2 people from the sales team to bring them onto the management team to help them better understand how to manage and motivate their sales team as they were growing.
My full disclosure is that I'm an investor in Roundpeg. So can you talk a little bit about the differentiation between you and other players in the market?
Yeah, so there are a number of other players. The key difference is going back to our cultural fingerprint. So a lot of them are based on, they're based on old, giving facelifts to old theories like Myers-Briggs, as well as the Big 5 personality concept. The key difference is that our cultural fingerprint is based on a mix of organizational psychology, neuroscience, and the personality core that we follow looks at group dynamics rather than an individual within a silo, which are the theories that they're using. So we've created a more comprehensive, all-inclusive look at the problem.
How do companies use this in recruiting? And how do you coach them to use it in recruiting? Do you have an opinion about whether recruiting should be creating an organization of maximum cognitive or personality diversity, or whether you should hire people of maximum overlap and fit?
Yes, so we recommend our baseline ideal match is based on the diversity. There's a lot of research that has proved that a lot of diverse teams are much more successful in terms of taking over new markets, competing within existing markets than identical teams. And so we made that decision early that that's the ideal match. That's what we're going to offer. And in terms of recruiting, so companies fit us at the very beginning of their process. So they link us into that automatic thank you for applying email with an invite link to candidates and says, thanks, we'd love to learn more about you. Please click here. The candidate clicks, creates their profile, and then at that point, the recruiter can see their match and all of them ranked in terms of best fit in that dashboard. And we're working on integrations to push that information back to the ATS. So it's easier for the recruiters so they don't have to juggle 2 platforms.
So I think I liked how you told the story about like how your customers are actually using it, because I have to admit I'm a little confused by cultural fingerprints and all of that. But I'm curious what you've learned from your first user, because I think you're going to have a lot of like really strong proof points when you go to ask companies to pay you lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious if you've learned anything surprising that's like a good surprise.
Yeah, I think for us, the most surprising element was how open a lot of companies have been about sharing this information with their employees. We had some advice from our advisors who had worked in, big corporations, and they said, well, be careful about, the view access that you're giving employees, and make sure you have all different levels of view access for this insight data. But we've seen with the small companies that we're working with, they're really open and proactive about sharing this information with their employees. So the transparency has been the most kind of surprising thing for us, which has also made some decisions around how we're focusing on the employees' engagement with the platform. Originally it was a one-time use, but we're trying to think of how we can pull them back in through performance management, pulse checking, employee engagement surveys, and make it easy for them to engage on an ongoing basis.
Is there a standard rating system that I would know that I am? Because with Myers-Briggs, what's easy about it is it doesn't mean that you're bad or better if you're an E or an I or any of the other letters. But if I'm like low on the motivation scale, I feel like that would be something I would try to game somehow.
Yeah, so we're not measuring quantities. We're measuring in the personality section, you have 2 unique what we call zeitgeists. And these are your unique combinations. And there's a paragraph to go along with that to help describe what that actually is. And then we also give you recommendations as to which combinations you work best with. But in terms of the other elements, in terms of the motivational drivers, we're not measuring how motivated are you. It's more what are you motivated by. So it's not a quantity element.
So if you're a company that's thinking about adopting this, how would you measure the effectiveness? Would it be fewer people depart? Fewer, better candidates hired? Like, how do you kind of coach them to actually measure being willing to pay a monthly fee?
Yeah, so we measured in terms of retention rates as well, employee engagement. Some companies are already measuring employee engagement really well, some aren't. So there's a little coaching that happens there with that. We also measure it in terms of candidate relevancy. So how many candidates are actually offered a job that have been brought in for an interview? Because that's a huge problem too. They normally, 75% of candidates end up not being relevant and end up just not even coming to the interview or not even receiving an offer. So that's also one that we're trying to hit.
Great, and we are at the end of the question time for you, but great presentation.
Thank you very much.
So much for being
Thank
here.
you, everybody.
All right, so again, wtwo.co/vote if you want to vote for the People's Choice Award. These are great presentations. So much information in 5 minutes. It's amazing, very succinct and well done. Okay, our next one, I know I'm not going to pronounce this right, Agorique. So Stephanie, when you come up here, you're going to have to give us the right pronunciation. Stephanie Halfren is the co-founder, and it's a business-to-business marketplace between independent fashion brands and vetted multi-brand retailers. So come on up to the stage. We've got pitch number 3. Thank you, Stephanie. What's the pronunciation? Agorique. Agorique. Okay, I wasn't even close. Agorique. 5 minutes for Agorique.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Stephanie, co-founder of Agorique, and I'm here to talk to you about the $125 billion wholesale fashion industry. The market is comprised of 83,000 brands and 530,000 retailers, but our addressable market size is 20,000 brands and 150,000 retailers. That addressable market size is based on price point, aesthetic, and potential for growth. So their traditional ways of connecting are through trade shows, door-to-door, and via email, which makes the process completely fragmented, costly, and time-consuming. Trade shows happen twice a year. There are over 650 trade shows in one season that last 3 days and all happen within a 6-week window of each other. For brands, it costs at least $6,000 for those 3 days. So it limits the number of talented brands that are able to actually exhibit at these shows. Post-show follow-up is incredibly time-consuming. and their selling metrics, there's absolutely no tool for them to be able to track their wholesale efforts, which is incredibly crucial information for future, which is incredibly crucial information for future success of future collections. For retailers, their time to prepare to go to these trade shows is also incredibly time consuming. They don't have a tool to help them prep. It's also very costly for them to go. They pay for travel, they pay for room and board, and they have to close their shops, so they lose out on sales. They're also missing out on relevant brands that don't exhibit at these shows, so they're missing out on actual sales opportunities with their clients. Agorique provides an online wholesale marketplace for brands and retailers worldwide to discover, connect, and do business. Our retailers and our brands are provided a profile where they can host all their wholesale information, and our members are quite active. Retailers, on average, log in 55% of the time per month, and 90% of our brands log in on an average per month. Our retailers are provided a robust search tool in order to search for brands based on product category. On average, over 1,800 product views are captured per month. We centralize the connection and the communication process in our website. Over 500 messages are sent per month between retailers and brands. We also have a trade show feature for retailers to help them prepare and view collections prior to attending the shows. Finally, we've centralized the ordering process. On average, we have about 6 transactions per month at a price of $800 per order. And with all that information captured online, we're now able to provide our brands with the metrics they need to make successful future collections. This is the team behind our business. Alexa and I have met during our MBA in Barcelona. Her consulting and startup experience allows her to lead our international sales team and manage the operations of the business. Chris is our CTO, and combined with his front and back end experience and his experience in e-commerce, he's an ideal tech partner for us. And I'm Stephanie Halfin. I'm co-founder and CMO. And with my fashion marketing experience, I lead the company's communication strategy as well as forging key partnerships. So in 2013, what happened? We raised over $300,000 with which we developed and tested our IT, refined the revenue model, and tested our sales and marketing strategy. We're able to build a database of brands of 50 brands and 500 retailers. And the main acquisition was through direct sales initiatives. So what are we going to do in 2014 and beyond? We're going to explode that. We're going to blow up what we're doing so far. And in the past 6 weeks, since January 1st, 2014, we've already acquired 150 new retailers and 30 new brands. And we're going to keep on scaling that. Our business model is based on 3 revenue streams. We charge our brands $1,500 per month in order to be members of our platform. Sorry, $1,500 per year in order to be members of our platform. We also charge a 5% commission to brands on all orders placed. And finally, we have extra services, such as $100 for an upload package for their collection.
Some PowerPoint assistance, please. I think she's trying to get some slides. Perfect.
Thank you. I don't know what's right after that.
Don't worry, I'll add time to your question session, so don't worry. We'll
okay, thank you.
Take care of that.
No. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Stephanie, do you want to just show us the slides that you missed? There were a couple that you missed.
It was just one, and that was the revenue model which I spoke to. So $1,500 that the brands pay on an annual basis. The brands also pay a 5% commission on the orders placed, and then they have the option of paying $100 per collection per collection upload. I hope you heard that back there. Kind of a loud voice. So if you are as passionate as I am about bringing this offline online and making the wholesale fashion industry a little bit more efficient, then I urge you to come and talk to me about it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right.
So I have a question for you. I know very little about fashion, but you're from that world. So you have all this experience. Why is this like the biggest problem that you saw that you wanted to devote your life to doing a startup around it?
Great question. Besides being passionate about it, it's an underserved market. We have competitors out there that work with the established brands, working on sort of more of the tech part and attaching the ordering system to their back end and their accounting. That's not the issue for these brands. These brands have very little resources to really get out there. And to be quite honest, my co-founder and I, like I said, met in Barcelona, and the first conversation we ever had regarding this business was when we were bonding over separate vacation time in Buenos Aires, and they had the most gorgeous products and brands down there that we knew if we didn't buy at that time, we were never going to see again. So the idea started with an emerging market sort of factor to it, and has now translated to the emerging designer, which I say emerging with a grain of salt. They do have, our requirements do require sort of some proof of concept. But the idea is that there is a growing community of low barriers to entry for brands, lower barriers to entry for brands. So there's this growing community, and they just don't have the resources, and so we want to help them.
Stephanie, yes. Way to power through the tech difficulties.
Thank
you. No worries. But alongside that comment, I think there was a competitive slide there.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I'm an investor in Jor, and I believe Jor was at the top left of that corner.
Mm-hmm.
But can you talk a little bit about the differentiation across your largest competitors and sort of, I understand the basic nuance. Obviously, you're targeting the independent designers,
right.
You're going global, and then there was a little bit of that trade show functionality that you had. But how do you see really being defensible across any of these competitors just opening up to the smaller and medium-sized brands?
Absolutely, it's a great question. Jor's sort of strong point, and New Orders as well, is really talking to the back-end analytics, and it's really facilitating the whole reducing costs with interns and sales assistants who are doing everything manually. So their focus is not at all in the discovery, and the reason why our brands would not really want to be associated with a Jor or New Order is because they'll get lost in the shuffle the same way that they would get lost in the shuffle at physical trade shows. So our sort of defining criteria and differentiation point is really based on the curation of the brands and the retailers that we bring on. We make sure that it's the perfect match so that engagement and possibility of sales and connection can happen between the brands. So it's really based on quality versus quantity for us.
So I just want to add to that. Helping these new brands to really stand out. I mean, at the trade show, they do a lot of things to try to kind of stand out and really feeling and seeing the merchandise. Online, that's much more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So what kinds of things are you trying to do differently in the product to sort of help these brands stand out besides just curating them?
So we partner basically with a number of different physical associations, fashion associations, that are focused in the same type of curation. So we're in conversations with certain, some that I cannot disclose, but basically we did something with New York Fashion Week last week, and Manufacturing New York was powering it. So we partner with physical showrooms and fashion incubators to really create a more tailored physical aspect, showroom, trade show that is focused only on these brands and supporting these brands. And full disclosure to the retailers, our partnerships with Kieran Elizabeth, Colette in Paris, allow us to have that credibility and really drive other retailers to come into to the showroom.
What's your target retailer size? And how often does a retailer take on a new brand? And how many products of that brand will they take on with what frequency?
Your first question, though?
What's your target retailer size?
In terms of, it's 150,000.
No, number of brands that are they small boutiques that carry
Mhm.
a few brands, or are you
They
targeting
range.
the large department stores?
Absolutely, it's a great question. So right now we're targeting the smaller to medium-sized boutiques, but also large concept stores. So one of our retailers is 10 Corso Como. They're a very large concept store. They have over 45 brands in their stores. They have 5 different locations in the world. So it really ranges. We're not talking to the department stores at this point, just because of the nature of our brands. The proof of concept needs to be a little bit more proven for department stores. So in terms of acquiring new brands, about 20% of their buys are focused on adding new brands into their store. And in terms of quantity, I can give you a dollar amount. It ranges between $1,000 and $5,000.
Great. We're out of time, but I want to give you the opportunity for one more question because we did lose a little time with the PowerPoint thing. So one quick question, last question.
So you do a great job matching for discovery. Can you talk a little bit about how you keep people on the platform to continue transacting there so they don't just meet on your site and then message each other offline somehow?
Absolutely. And so that's actually part of where the funds that we're going to be raising will be funneled towards. We want to add additional features, and one of them is to increase the transactions and to keep the transactions happening on our platform. So that's part of the IT development that we'll be creating.
Like, what are some of the solutions for that?
Payment online, and partnering with shipping companies as well.
Great. Well, fabulous job.
Thank
and
you.
Keeping your cool during a bad PowerPoint thing is great. So thank you for that. Thank you, judges, for those questions. We are going to keep moving on. Again, of course, if you want to vote, you know where to vote, w2two.co/vote. Our next pitch is Renter Resume, and it's the match.com for landlords and renters. Well, that's an easy description to understand. Ashley Wilson is the co-founder and the CMO. So Ashley, come on out and let's hear your pitch. 5 minutes. Welcome. Here's your clicker.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Wilson, and I am co-founder and chief marketing officer of Renter Resume. We make renting easy. The rental market today sucks. It's busier than ever, and both landlords and renters are losing a lot of time. Other companies are working in the space to improve it. They're just focused on a different fundamental problem than we are. We're different from them, and here's why. So for every successful rental housing transaction, there are 2 parts: renters finding ideal housing and landlords finding ideal renters. Prior to the internet, renters were using newspaper classifieds to find housing. Today, they're using their smartphones. So this process has improved a lot. Prior to the internet, landlords were finding ideal renters with the help of paper applications. And today, they're still using paper applications. This is creating a huge bottleneck in the rental process, and this is the basis of the problem that we're solving. So here's how it works today. Renters search for an apartment and then they apply. Landlords then have to retranscribe all of these applications, cash a bunch of checks, and then compare all the applicants. And this is the bottleneck. So to solve this, what we do is ask the landlords a little bit more information on their ideal renter. We then provide data-driven, personalized recommendations to the landlords based on some of the most important information: a renter's income, credit, and criminal histories. So we enable the landlord to compare all applicants quickly, eliminating this bottleneck from the process. Here's some of our competition. These companies require the landlord to retranscribe the renter's applications, and then the results are delivered in PDF format. Sometimes can take up to a week. These companies allow renters to apply using online applications, but then the results are still delivered in PDF format, taking about a day. We're the only ones using online applications and delivering the data to the landlords in a smart way within minutes after a renter completes their application. We make data-driven recommendations using smart tenant screening. And from this, we're now able to, since we have the landlord's information on their property and the ideal renter that they're looking for, we also have the renter's information along with the type of housing they're looking for. So we're able to close this information gap. And from this, we're building a network of landlords and renters. So not only do we make data-driven recommendations to landlords, we're also suggesting homes to renters that maybe didn't get the first apartment they applied to. They're able to reuse the same application without paying any additional fees. So today there are 110 million renters in the United States. A third of the population rents. Fortunately for us, 156,000 pros and 22 million landlords act as the gatekeepers for this entire process. Our target customers are these pros and landlords. They have a built-in viral component. So for every property they bring us, it creates multiple applicants. So how do we make money? We charge $35 for each renter's background check. And each of the properties in our network brings on average 3.4 applications. We have been in business for 4 months and have had paying customers since day one. We're currently in a private monetized beta, working with 6 accounts and have over 600 properties under management. Each of these properties, as I said, brings on an average of 3.4 applications. I'm Ashley, I'm our CMO. I come from a real estate sales team of 3 that sold $40 million in our first year. Josh is our CEO, and he has experience in business development in the biotech sector, where he's helped raise $2 million to date. Max is our CTO. He's a full stack developer and was formerly the CTO for offeminine.com, where he helped grow traffic to over 45 million monthly uniques. So in summary, we provide an easy-to-use software application for landlords to streamline the entire process. And from this, we're able to eliminate the bottleneck in the rental industry.
Thank you very much. Judges, we'll move into questions.
Quick clarifying question. Who pays the $35?
The renters pay us directly.
And if they have the option to do it in paper for free, how do you convince them to pay you?
Well, the renter actually, that's a good question, because renters pay the application fees anyway. So by paying us $35 to do the application that they'll be able to reuse to other properties, it's essentially, it's an inherent benefit to them to not use the paper applications. Because another problem with the paper applications, they're paying for it and they're reusing and they have to keep applying with these paper applications, paying $35 each, not knowing what actually happens with their data after that.
What's your profit margin on the $35? I mean, I know the background checks and legal checks and all that stuff you're doing can't be less than 20 or 25, right?
Actually, we make a 70% margin on the $35 application fee itself.
So you are you not contracting with a third-party provider for the background checks?
We are with a third-party provider, and what we do, we're repackaging their information in smaller packages to resell to our clients. So there is actually a 70% margin built in there.
Okay. And then for what it's worth, you're on your differentiation slide, you had said that you're the only one that like doesn't do paper and provides it in minutes. That's actually not true. Like I'm a landlord, I can't remember the name of the service. I was sitting here trying to rack my brain. Come talk to me afterwards. I'll tell you what service it is. I can tell you that from a landlord is a super easy experience because all I had to do was send them a link and then they filled out an application. They paid $20, not $35. And I got an answer immediately as soon as they hit submit, right? So, but I would also tell you that it's kind of a clunky service. So if you guys are like a lot better, it's interesting. So that's more of a comment than a question. And then my last part is landlords are notoriously difficult. Like, I mean, most landlords I know, unless they're full-time property managers, which might be your target market, they have like no interest in any sort of thing that's going to make their life easy for whatever reason. So like, how do you think that you're going to tap that market? And maybe you're not going to. Maybe you're just going after professional property managers.
Sure. First, I want to address your comment. While we're not the only ones utilizing the online applications, we're able to recycle the data. So we're taking the data and using it in a smart way like no one else is doing. So that's the differentiation between us and possibly the competitor that you used last time. The question, in order to reach the landlords, you're right, we actually are targeting the professionals. So we're working with property management and multifamily housing, where our target customer brings in, on average, 100 properties. So eventually, from there, we'll be scaling into the market with landlords. But as I mentioned, each of these properties brings 3.5 applicants each. So these renters we're eventually going to work on a tool that they can use to target the landlords to show that we're doing it a lot faster with a lot less headache.
And then I have one more question. I'm so sorry. So you said that you're going to reuse the application. So does that mean that the $35 gets reused? Does that mean it's only one time $35?
Correct.
Or doesn't that limit your ability to make money? Because if I'm a renter and I'm applying for new housing every year, every 2 years, or I'm applying, and let's say I'm averaging 3 or 5 applications per search, right? You're leaving money on the table by doing that, but yet you're talking about that's your strength. So just wondering how that plays out in your head.
And I'll clarify that a little bit. So the reusable application fee works in a market like this in San Francisco where someone's applying to 7 or 8 different properties. And when that landlord picks one, the other 7 people have to start the process over. So that's where our service is different, because we are taking these renters and saying, here's properties from within our network. We already know the requirements for the landlords, and we know that you meet them. So you can reuse your application to apply to these properties.
Another question from the judges?
Sorry, I'm going to keep going with that. I think the question, though, was, aren't you leaving money on the table by not charging, like, forever? You're only going to charge me once for $35, and then I don't have to do it again? Which is great for me, but I'm just saying.
Sure, it's not forever. There's a 30-day life cycle on the data.
Okay.
So when you're searching for an apartment or a house to rent, you'll have 30 days where you're applying to different properties and finding the proper fit for you. Now, the market is actually residual. So of the 110 million, 1 in 3 of those actually moves annually. So we have a residual market there. And the renters, since we offer them an advantage that that no one else is giving them for this application check process, they'll come back to use us again. So instead of next time saying, well, my landlord made me use Rent a Resume to apply for this apartment, and then a year later when they're moving and they go back to the paper application, they'll come back to us instead, because there's a value there for them.
Great. It looks like we are out of time. So amazing, tough questions from the judges. You did a great job. Thank you very much. And I will keep the clicker. Oh, that's fine. You can hand it right over. Okay. Wow. We have one more pitch coming up. Pretty padded room. Try to say that 3 times fast. Pretty Padded Room provides online therapy to women on their own time and on their own terms. Pretty Padded Room, we have B. Arthur, the co-founder and the CEO, and Rachel Becker. Pretty Padded Room, come on up. Right, you have 5 minutes. Take it away.
Hello. There it is. Hi. Hello, Women 2.0. Last but not least, my name is B. Arthur, for real, get over it. And I'm the founder, Golden Girls. I'm the founder and CEO of PrettyPaddedRoom.com, a nice place to go crazy. We provide online therapy to women on their own time and in their own space. I'm here today with my COO and lead therapist, Rachel Becker, She's also going to be managing the clicker. So we have been successfully, so I'm glad she's here. We've been successfully in operations for the last 3 years. We're looking to expand and become a global leader in mental health care IT. So I'm really proud to tell you a little bit about how we got started and where we're going. So the problem. Everybody in this room knows that life moves very fast, particularly for women. The faster the world is going, self-care can be really tricky. We all know there's been several studies that talk therapy is a really logical solution. I've been a licensed therapist for the last 6 years, and I know how beneficial it is, but it still isn't overly utilized because it has a bad reputation, right? It's intimidating, it's expensive, it's embarrassing, it's inconvenient, and you don't want anybody knowing your business. So how do we make the benefits more widely available? So I wanted to transform the model, make it approachable, affordable, and anonymous. So what we've done is created an efficiency in the marketplace similar to what UberX has done in the transportation space by building out a platform that connects licensed therapists with real people all around the world, anytime and anywhere. So we started by making it approachable. These are real women. These are my lovely therapists, a lot of whom have been with me from the very beginning. And you get a sense immediately for who they are. And you can watch their videos to know what it's going to be like to spend time with them. You can see their specializations. And I'd like to point out that we really focus on emotional health more than mental health. Rather than psychopathology or true mental illness, we like to deal with issues that affect the modern woman. So the next step was make it more anonymous, because sometimes you feel bad and you don't want to get out of bed. And the best way to do it is from the comfort of your own home. So what we've done is streamline the process so you can get real psychotherapeutic support in the comfort of your own home through an interface that is HIPAA compliant and has given our clients total confidence in the process. So we do it 2 ways, through video. These are my 2 best friends. And we also have the digital diary option. It's a written consultation. It's really blown up for us. It's unique, unmatched, and trademarked. You can just write in your journal at any time, and you don't even need an appointment. Your therapist will get back to you the same day with her feedback. And so in terms of pricing, what we've done is scale down the model so it's more affordable and sustainable for the average consumer. We offer 3 tiers of pricing on a monthly subscription model, and a nice surprise has been that our most popular plan is a $200 a month plan. So even though we have a very low entry point at a trial session of $25, people are converting almost immediately to the $200 plan. So this demonstrates an enormous demand and an enormous market. Right now, last year in America alone, and we've been international, the current spend was $55 billion on psychotherapy and related services. And just last month, for the keywords online therapy and online counseling, there were 1.2 million searches. So why is it that with all this interest and attention, there's no market or brand leader? That means it's time for a telemedicine takeover. And my team is uniquely positioned to define and dominate in this market, and I can prove it. Since day one, we've been cash positive. We've never had a problem getting clients. In the last 3 years, this is actually our 3-year anniversary with February 11th. Yeah. Okay. Don't count that off my time. In the last 3 years, we have managed to earn over $150,000. In 2 of those years, I was a solo founder. We had no marketing, and the majority of that time we were in beta. Last year, we've consistently been generating monthly recurring revenues of $10,000 and more. So we don't play. This is real, this is happening, and I'm confident that with the cash infusion, we'll be able to scale very quickly doing these 3 things. Now, because of the demand in the market and because we know this space so well, we decided to not leave any money on the table and develop an enterprise class product version of what we've been doing. That way we can monopolize white label opportunities as well as strategic partnerships with enterprise vendors. So that was what you just saw. It doesn't matter, go. That's Safe Space. That's our sister site. We've been developing it for a long time. It'll be launching in beta soon. And these are some of our exceptional partners to prove that we're relationship ready. 1-800-THERAPIST, Department of Veterans Affairs, my alma mater, and we've also had several conversations with HR departments to monetize EAP programs. Again, these are just prepaid sessions that are just sitting there. We have a ready-made turnkey solution that they can utilize it with. We also have a waiting list of over 500 therapists that are waiting to license our platform. So, based on these partnerships, and our current performance metrics, these are actually very reasonable projections. As I mentioned, we're entering our 4th year, and by year 6, we can achieve sizable traction in revenue at $120 million annually. This is why we're the team to do it. I'm a scrappy founder out of New York City. In the last 3 years, I've done this on less than $150,000. My COO is Rachel Becker. Hey, girl, it's my boo. She is not only a lead therapist who knows our product intimately and the user experience, she also was a former director of a venture-backed healthcare startup. She knows the startup space well. And Anthony Garcia is an amazing CTO that has been in the game since 1996 and has worked with some really big partners, Bank of America, and he took a pay cut to come on board and work with us because he believes that much in what we're doing. Lastly, I'd like to just end on a real client testimonial, which really perfectly captures why we do what we do and why we've been so successful. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I'm ready to take questions.
Great.
I have a question for you. So I'm a fan of this idea. I love how you're
thank you.
making therapy more accessible to people. Y Combinator has funded 7 Cups of Tea, which is sort of similar with active listeners. So I'm curious, I have 2 questions. I'm curious to hear more about sort of the complexities around or your experience with dealing with like medically trained people, like building a service around that. And also, you said you started around 3 years ago. Wondering sort of what's gone on up until now, why the growth now? Like what do you think has changed?
Well, as I mentioned, I was a solo founder for the first 2 years. And the very first year, I was still working as a domestic violence counsel, which is why I wanted to make it women-oriented to start. And yeah, I mean, it was really buggy. I did not have an in-house dev team. We gave away a lot of money and a lot of refunds, but we kept at it. In fact, one of the reasons we've kept so many clients is because the connections that they established with our therapists were so strong, they were willing to do the workarounds. They were willing to just do a chat session instead. So, but now with Anthony coming on board, we've really got it solid and scalable. And as far as managing professional medical trained therapists, I really wanted to, because, with things like, just getting the support you need when you need it, it helps to have somebody who has no vested interest in the outcome. And I'm a therapist, and we were really solving 2 problems, like to make it more approachable and accessible, but also therapists aren't very good salespeople. It's really hard to just hang up your single and just start charging $200 an hour. So we solved that problem by just getting them the clients that they'd work best with, and then I just market the site and they just do their thing.
So one of the challenges with a service like this is anonymity is so important online, and feeling like that sense of privacy. When you go into somebody's office, you actually you get a lot of that, and you get the kind of the intimacy. How do you try to replicate that through the product experience?
Well, it's totally HIPAA compliant. It's SSL secured the entire time. We've written a lot of automated tests to make sure that anything can be. But we don't record the video sessions. And also one thing that we've heard a lot from our clients is that with the digital diary, people like the idea of just leaving it off the space. I don't think that online therapy will ever all the way replace traditional therapy, but there's a nice way of like leaving your business on someone's site. So if somebody's going through your email or something like that. But again, we recommend that people update and keep it as clean as possible. We've never had an issue with, I don't even want to say it, with hacking or anything.
So like Jessica, I actually really like this space too, and I'm seeing quite a bit of activity in it, and I sort of like how you guys are focusing right now. But something that you put up there actually caused me a little bit of red flag, and I'd like you to address it. And one is that one of the benefits of being a therapist is that you get a regular customer base. It's recurring revenue for you. But yet you put up there that the lifetime value for your average customer is only $400. And then I went back and thought, and then she told me that her best selling plan was $200 a month. So that means customers are really only sticking around for 2 months. So I'm just wondering, is this not very sticky for the clients, the actual users, not the therapists? Are they not really tagging on to, is this just meant for I need to talk to somebody right now and I don't care who it is? Or is this really meant to establish a relationship, a long-term relationship between the client and the therapist?
Well, that's a good point. So as far as the lifetime value, so $400 is based on the split, like what we keep from it. It's a 40-60 split. So it's actually, what we see is people typically stay on between 3 and 6 months at the subscription plan, and then they downgrade to pay-as-you-go. Now, as pay-as-you-go, it's $45. So that means that either people come back, most times people feel better. They came for a particular issue, they worked it out, and then they downgrade and they just purchase sessions as needed. So that's where it really works out to, if it's about $100 for the therapist and $100 for us. For 3, you want to jump in here? Did you not get one?
No, and I was also going to say, because I work as a therapist through the site as well, and so what we see is that, so when Bees talks about the 40-60 split, the therapist takes 60 and the site takes 40. And in terms of, as Bee said, some people come on board, they have a particular thing, they address it and they're gone, and then some people do build the relationship, so it varies. But what we also see is that there's no shortage of people coming. We get new clients all the time. I've gotten 4 clients in the past 2 days who have just come to the site to check it out and go on. So yes, it is a reliable recurrent stream. Some people stay, some people come temporarily, but that's similar to what you see in live therapy as well. I think in traditional therapy, you have people onboarding for about 3 months stay on average. So, and we see that reflected similarly.
And we've certainly had people that have been on the site for more than a year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My very first client is still with me. My second client comes back from time to time. So that's the other thing that we see, is because we're always up in there, people go, they come, they use it on their own time and their own terms.
We are out of time for the questions. Amazing, great effort. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.